Okay, we are live. We are going to try this again with our very own Audra Day. Thank you, Audra, for getting on, and sorry about that.
You're welcome.
So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up the questions that I have now on my phone. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell a little bit where you're from, what you do, and we can start there.
I'm Audra Day. I just turned 40. I have two boys that are 15 and the other one is 12. And I'm a single mom and I teach kindergarten. So for the last 3 months, I've been working from home and doing my Zoom classes and those sorts of things. But typically, I'm busy with sports. Both my boys are really active in baseball and basketball. So I spend a lot of time in my car traveling to different places all the time with them. So that's a little about me.
That is great. And did you say St. Louis area is where you're at?
Yes. Okay. I live about 40 minutes south of St. Louis.
Okay. Because we got a lot of people from around that area in here as well. We'll have to, when we keep travel again, we'll have to meet up again like we did. Was that last year? It was last year. Last year. Okay. So since we'll start at the beginning. So what made you want to make a change for yourself and start on the journey that you are on now? What are some things that you were looking for and couldn't find?
So I've been into fitness for a really long time. I used to run a lot. I think I've done 8 half marathons. I could be wrong on that, 7, 8, 9, around that. And I realized that running is not completely sustainable for me because I'm getting older and my legs don't like me as much as they used to. And I saw people in the gym and I was like, I could work smarter, not harder all the time, because cardio is a lot of work. And it was, spending 2 hours running. And that wasn't always feasible with my schedule with my kids. So I'd been on Instagram for a while and I saw you on there a couple times and I was like, dang, I could totally do this. And so I think you messaged me after I liked one of your posts and I was like, holy cow, this person's a real person. And I was like, I should really check this out. I was also really intrigued by macros and I had looked at macros for a really long time, but I couldn't wrap my head around the whole idea of what macros were and trying to figure out what my macros would be set at for me. And anytime I looked it up online to find someone, it was anywhere from $300 to $400. And I wasn't willing to pay $300 to $400 just to tell me a number. So that's kind of why I started with you.
And I will say too, that's a big thing that we notice is people charging out the Wahoo for just macro set. I don't believe that you need to charge a lot just to do something like that. I do understand why, because it does take obviously knowledge and things like that. But I am glad that you found us as well, because look at all the stuff you've accomplished and you've crushed it. And so I want to ask you, the next question is, because I think this is a part where a lot of people struggle with, is how. So I gave you a set of macros, like as soon as you signed up. I remember giving you macros and you just went with it. So did you know how to count or track macros, or like how did you learn then? A lot of times, I say we need to start tracking your food in MyFitnessPal, and we need to learn those protein, carbs, and fats in those foods. That is what macros are, but that sometimes doesn't sink in for people. So like, what made it sink in for you? How did you learn macronutrients?
So you gave me my macros and I went to MyFitnessPal and set it up and adjusted it in there. And I think I just kind of started looking at your meal plans. And back then, your meal plans were what you fixed for lunch was exactly what you had for dinner, which works for me still to this day. And that's how I prep my meals each week. I pretty much eat the same thing for lunch and dinner, which works for me. It doesn't always work for everybody else, but that just seemed to start off. So I stuck strictly to your plan and seeing what was the macros. Then I just started looking at labels when I started grocery shopping, or like I said, my boys play baseball, and so I would prep and I would bring my snacks with me. I would bring my lunches with me. I'd pack a cooler, and I was that mom when we went on out of town tournaments that had my own food. And but it made me feel better about myself. So I knew what I was eating, and not I wasn't eating the ballpark nachos every single time I went.
Okay, so my question then, two questions then, and one is from Kylene. The first question is, what would be like, so you would attribute obviously hitting your macronutrients or focusing on macros to planning, pre-planning. What is your biggest tip, or what are some handful of tips for someone that's just getting started with planning their week? Because a lot of times I think we don't go into planning out our food for the week when we're just starting. So it can be very overwhelming to now I have to plan my week and make sure I'm eating macronutrient, balanced foods. What are a few meal planning tips? How do you plan for your week then? Like when you first, like I know you use the website meal plans, which I think, in my opinion, a lot of people do kind of fight me on that, because let's face it, not a lot of us like to be told what to really do. So it's kind of like one of those things. Our meal plans have improved a lot though, right? But so you did mention that part that you follow the meal plans, but what are some things that you do weekly to make sure you're going to be on track?
I make sure that I always have eggs at home and cottage cheese, because if I don't get something prepped, or if I don't feel like eating what I have made that day, then I will just cook up some eggs, some cottage cheese, because I know I have to hit that protein count no matter what. And I am not a big shake drinker, so I just like to eat. So instead of just drinking a protein shake, I would rather eat some eggs and some cottage cheese or something like that. So I always have that on hand, especially like during this crazy time when it's hard to get meat every week. I do the grocery meal prep. I've always done grocery pickup. It's just so much easier for me. So I always just keep those staples around. If I can have chicken just ready to go, and that's been my go-to. And I have to prep. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I prep every week, and it's part of my life. I don't know how I would live right now if I didn't meal prep every week. And since I am a single mom, I refuse to waste and throw out my food. And so when I go through the drive-through for my kids, I am just like, well, I'm not going to eat that, because I have this food at home that I've made, and I'm not throwing it out.
I think you hit on a lot of good points there with you have to, it's your lifestyle now. Obviously you've implemented in that meal planning and prepping. That's how Derek and I are. Like, I don't know what the heck I would eat if I didn't have my food prepared for me. Because when I get super hungry at the end of the day, I mean, bitch bottom dollar, if I wanted to go out and get some fast food, I would. If I ate fast food anymore, that's what I used to do, is run to McDonald's or Taco Bell or Subway and get something because I was so hungry and had no food. So a lot of us are already grocery shopping as it is. So why not pick out those better options and write out a grocery list? Because you do save money too. Like you said, you're eating what your body needs, instead of everything that you want, like all the chips and cereals, and those can add up quickly. We were looking at chips the other day. I was like, I don't realize how expensive they are, just for a bag of chips. So the other point I wanted to make is you make sure you have your protein available. So the cottage cheese, protein source, eggs, protein source, and then your chicken, protein source. So that's the one thing I like to say is prep your protein for the week like you do. And then you can throw it into recipes as the week goes on, if that's something that's easier for you. Would you say protein was something that you were lacking and something that you did up to help you lean out? Or what would you say really helped you transform your physique? Because that was one question, is your abs and stuff like that.
I will tell you that when I started, I never thought that I would ever have abs. So that was not, I even think that when I first messaged you and you were like, what are your goals? And I was like, lose 10 pounds. And if I ended up with abs, that'd be okay. But um, it would have to be protein. Like, I I love carbs and pasta and chocolate and junk. I could sit down and eat cheese and crackers every night if I could, but I know that's not a possibility if I want to maintain what I have now. So I do. Let's see. Sunday I had Waffle House and a big plate of pulled pork nachos for dinner. So I do have those days where I do eat real food that is junk and I feel miserable afterwards, but I have to treat myself and know that it is life and you're going to, have drinks and real food but I just got right back on track the next day.
Yes, and I remember when we first started working together, you said, I'm just letting you know I'm having one night out and I'm gonna do whatever, like drink whatever, eat whatever, but then I'm gonna get back on it the next day. And I said, that's great. You do that, and you did do that. That's the thing, you followed through and you did get back to it the next day. And that's another thing. I think that's something that has helped you keep balance. I lost you for a second. Is having those, going out for waffles or going out for those, nachos that you had. Is that a way that you did keep that balance and not feeling super restricted?
I can say that in the beginning, I very rarely did go out, maybe once a month. Um, but I think what kept me most accountable is every single week I would check in with you and give you my measurements and my weight and my pictures. And you asked what worked and what didn't work and what I could improve on. And I feel like that each week I knew not that you cared what I ate or were going to like criticize me if I ate out. I felt like I was being held accountable and I needed to prove to myself that I would follow what I was given. And it worked. And after 8 weeks, I was just like, I can keep doing this.
That is good. That's a good point. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is like checking in. You checked in with me, like you said, weekly in the beginning, and now we just touch base because you have this down pat now. And I think that's one thing, I always follow up with people at least 3 times. And if I see you see it each time and ignore me, I leave you alone for a while because you're not responding to me. So I'd say that's one of my pet peeves is people not responding to my messages. So that's something Audra always did. You responded to my messages. You did check-ins with me. So Audra sent me a message instead of me having to send Audra a message. So Audra, I don't know if we did Thursdays or Fridays, whatever. Thursday through Sunday, I'd get a check-in from you, and that then allowed that accountability. And then what can we do to improve? Because no one's perfect. So that's a great point there. And before I forget to, I meant to ask you this earlier is a question from Kylene is, what do you do? This is when you were you mentioned you took your food to like the baseball outings. I don't know if you've gotten crude comments during those, but what do you do or how do you deal with people making comments about what you eat or bringing your own food? Just how do you deal with comments like that?
Most of the time, a lot of people were jealous that I had good food and they had, ballpark food because I bring, frozen blueberries or stuff like that. But I have gotten some negative comments and I don't even really worry about it. I'm just like, oh, whatever. Like it's not a big deal to me because I know my end goal. And I mean, when I go places now, people will be like, oh, you can't eat that. And I say, I can eat whatever I want. It's what I choose to eat. And my kids, even Easton laughed the other day. He always asked me if I sneak protein into food. And I was making the popcorn chicken. And he said, that smells really good. are you trying to put protein in that? And I said, well, it already is protein. That is your protein. So um, they've even caught on and they're like, oh, it's healthy food. And I was like, yeah, but it tastes good. And they were like, yeah, it does taste good. So people, when they finally realize that it isn't half bad, like healthy food doesn't have to taste bad. It can still be good for you. And I think that's the big thing for people. They're always just like, oh, you can't, yeah, whatever. I don't. They realize now that what I was doing was the right thing because they're like, oh, damn.
And that's one of the things, like you said, I can eat that, I just choose not to. That's something I've started to say as, and I don't know, I know it's hard at first when you're still trying to reach some goals and you're just getting started, but I always think that comeback is really good, and it's a mindset thing to yourself as well, saying, no, I can have that, I'm just choosing not to. Like, I can, like, you can have those chips, those nachos and cheese if you want, or that walking taco from the baseball park if you want, if that's what you want, but you're choosing not to. So I do like that. Um, that's something that I like to say to my family members. 2 questions here, and we can round this up. Number 1 is, what do you, when you are out and about, like at a baseball game, like a lot of people are going to have events coming up, baseball being one of them. What do you pack? What do you bring with you?
I actually haven't done baseball yet this year because of COVID, but last year I would do, I prepped hot wing chicken, and I just cooked my chicken, added hot wing sauce, ranch packet, and then some Greek yogurt to it. And I kept that cold in a cooler, and then I would bring lettuce or peppers, and I would eat it with a fork, eat it with my peppers, put it on a lettuce wrap. I'd pack, like I said, frozen blueberries, beef jerky. Always tried to have a protein source. I did get some because I like some sweet stuff every once in a while. So I'd get the G butter, which is on Amazon, and I would spread that on a rice cake, and it's really super yummy. And it has protein in it, and it's really, the macros are great on those. I think that's, I'd always have some fresh berries with me just to snack on something like that. I've gotten Quest chips too sometimes, just so if I want some chips at the ballpark, that's just something else too. But that's almonds.
That's good. So you're ensuring you got your protein. That's first. So whenever you're packing for an event or something, ensure you got your protein. I do recommend like cold items, like you said, like a chicken salad or a chicken wrap, throw on a choice sauce, and it's usually delicious, and you can eat that. You can eat it. You can. If you get looks, they'll be jealous, like you said, because that's the best food out there. Got a question from somebody here. Do you log the items on MyFitnessPal that you eat that aren't on the plan? Let me unmute you.
Like if I'm at a restaurant, like go out to eat and do that all out. No, I don't. I put it in my notes that I have gone out to eat and what I've eaten, just so I know, like, looking back, why, if my macros are like, oh, I only ate 700 calories today. No, you really didn't. You probably had 2,700 calories, but it's there, and that way I know. I used to try to figure it out, but most restaurants don't have it, and it was just kind of pointless for me to put that in there. I knew it was a lost day anyways.
But pointer on that one, you didn't do it like 4 days a week. It was just like maybe 1, maybe 2, depending. And on all the other days, though, you were still getting in your macronutrients. And I think too that if you were to say have an extra tablespoon or spoonful of peanut butter, you would log that in like a normal day.
Yeah, I would definitely log that. Also, it's more like just one meal. It's not every single meal of the day. Like, because if you do good all week long and then you just totally wreck your weekend, like, it's not helping you out at all. It's completely throwing you off. It's like eating out every single day of the week, because that's a lot of meals over the weekend. So
right. And what I'm thinking too is, if you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's off. That's 3 out of the 7 days. That's going to really stall things. Not saying now on the flip side to that, you could do your best and log the food that you at the restaurant, or look ahead at the menu and figure out what you're going to get. If you are going out to dinner a few times that week, totally you can. But I think Audra's point was, if she's going out to eat that night, she's going to enjoy it and she's going to eat that. But she also, like before that, was eating just like her normal foods. She wasn't just throwing in the towel because she was going to dinner. So I think that can be a common misconception on, oh, the day is blown. You try to carry on to your normal schedule. And then last question I just wanted to ask is, and if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll get to them here real quick. When you struggled, or when you do struggle, what do you do to keep going, or do you ever pull back a little bit to keep that balance? When you struggle, what do you do to not completely give up? Especially in the beginning, if you can think.
For me, I know my limits, and it was very hard for me in the beginning to take a rest day, because I knew that I had that goal, and I wanted to reach that goal. But there are days like I said, on Sunday, this past Sunday, I knew that I've been doing 2 workouts a day since I'm at home. So I just knew that I've had that horrible meal, and I was just going to enjoy myself and relax. And I also wasn't going to beat myself up for it or make myself feel guilty for eating that food. So I wasn't going to be like, oh, I need to go do this workout or that workout because I ate all this food, because it's not how it works. You're allowed to have a meal and not feel guilty about it. But I guess when I fall off, I just I drink my greens. That kind of helps me justify it, and then I just wait till the next day and start the next day with my normal workout. There've been some times lately, when I say I'm doing 2 workouts a day, my second workout might just be a walk. It's not me hitting it hard where I'm dying. Yesterday I did the DFG, and then I walked with some friends last night. I did jump roping on Monday, and my calves are so tight that it is hard right now for me to walk. So there are some exercises this morning in that DFG that I was like, I don't know if I can do these, because my calves are tight. When I started running again, my knee has been really bothering me. So I started that joint mobility, and I knew that I couldn't run every day. So I stopped running. Like I said, I'll walk, but I can't. You just have to know what your body can let you do. And it's okay if you take a few days off, enjoy yourself. Sometimes your body needs that, and it'll help you. If you're at a plateau, it'll help you kickstart your metabolism by just chilling out for a few days and then getting back to it.
Yep, and that's a big thing that we talk about here in Team Schmidt Fit. You guys all know this, and Audra, you know this, is that balance for longevity. So we're always working towards health and doing this long term, because that's what we talk about in here, is just literally how the body works and what we can do to then help the body work better. So that is a great point with doing the Opti-Greens after a big meal. That genuinely, if you have a big meal and you feel like poop and you have those greens, it makes you feel a little bit better. You can wake up then feeling a little bit better and get back to it. It's kind of like that snowball of those decision making and how that affects you mentally. And I think a lot of your points as far as not feeling guilty after a meal, not, making yourself feel bad, sticking up for yourself if someone were to make a comment, things like that, all focuses on that mental health aspect, which again is super important in our journey. If you are super sore and your knee is hurting, you don't have to punish yourself and keep doing a workout. Your body's telling you to take a rest, do some stretching, go for a walk with your kids or something else, go hug a tree. I don't know, go do something that's still beneficial for yourself. Even sometimes chilling, watching some TV if you really just need to unwind. So that's a great point. All right. One more question here. We've been on for 25 minutes and we'll let Audra go here because she's taken out her day for us. What is one thing you wish you would have known or done differently looking back when you first started?
When I first started with this, probably starting the Opti-Greens right away. I didn't start the Opti-Greens until a couple of months in, just financially it wasn't feasible for me. I will say the best thing that I did was buy a food scale, because then I could measure my food and I know, now I can pretty much ballpark it. But in the beginning, I had no idea what 4 ounces of meat of chicken was, or 114 grams of cottage cheese. But now I can pretty much figure it out and I don't have to weigh it. But in the beginning, and that makes a big difference in your macros. Like, just being really food conscious. Bananas, like, whoa, I used to think that if I had 2 bananas, 3 bananas a day, that I was doing good. Now I look at those and I'm like, holy cow, the carbs in a banana. I cannot eat 3 bananas a day, unless that's all I'm having as far as carbs. But I feel like just, yeah, the Opti-Greens were a big game changer for me. They're definitely worth every penny. I had already been introduced to First Form though before I started this, so I will say that I had already been using Formula One and Ignition. And if you're not using that for your post workout, you're really missing out the benefits of your workout, because it's the best part of your workout is getting that extra. Um, I don't know.
Recovery.
Yeah, recovery.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, those two things, digestion, digestive health, gut health, it's going to help utilize all those macronutrients that you're eating. So if your body can use the food and drink you're eating better, the better you're going to feel because your body's able to take those micronutrients in. Your body's going to shed fat more likely. And then point number 2, with your post-workout, you're putting your body under stress. You're depleting your energy stores, glycogen, and you're breaking down your muscles. So the protein helps that, and the carb helps that, the Formula One and Ignition. And I will say that's a great point to bring up, because it is coming from me. I think sometimes, I don't know if people don't believe me or what, but they're kind of hesitant, and we don't ever push anything on you guys, which I never push anything on you, Audra. But I want you guys to make the best decisions for your health again and get the best results. So that's what we're here doing. Audra, is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with? Any motivation? I'm the worst at motivation. Like, oh yeah. Do you have anything?
Don't be so hard on yourself. If you're feeling bad, then pick up a book and read a book or something. Like, don't overthink the process. It's not as hard as it seems, and it's simple, and each day is a new day. Get up and get back after it. I myself love to read self-help books though. So, that's just me. If you want to do something good for yourself, read a self-help book, because it'll definitely motivate you.
Yes, and we can always make a post with any kind of book suggestions too, because that's a great thing. I think that's really hyper focusing on your self-care, your self-worth, your mindset, to make this a journey and not a quick fix, not a fad diet. We're not about diets in here, and really just carrying on with your journey. And that's different for everyone. So that's a great thing to leave everyone with. I don't think anyone else has any questions. You go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I saw a quote the other day. It said, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. And that's really important, because if I always compared myself, like somebody said the other day, I had ab goals, and I laughed because I used to say the same thing about other people. Like, dang, I would love to have abs like that. I'll never have abs like that. But, it's definitely not where they started. So don't compare yourself.
That is a great point, because not a lot of people share how long they've been doing something for. Like you've been doing this now, specifically with us, a little bit over a year, maybe a year and a half now, about. And just all the information that you've accumulated over the year and a half. So that's where, again, it's a process and taking things in and learning. And that's what we pride ourselves in here. And you're now able to help your friends out too when they have questions. That's what we all want to do in here, is kind of, you know, rub off on each other and actually learn. So it's not just like a fad where now all of a sudden you're not following the program and you don't know what to do. We always want you guys to know what to do to help your kids, to help your husband when he's questioning you with what you're doing. Not that we get that a lot. And just spreading the health. All right. Anything?
No, that's it.
Well, this was a lot of fun. This is the first time we've ever done anything like this. Thank you for taking out now almost an hour of your day. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry about the I'm going to mute that. Sorry about the issues we were having earlier. Thank you too for bringing all your sisters on board and your friends. We appreciate that so much. And again, Derek and I just love you so much. I'm gonna cry now. And it's really been awesome to see you progress in your journey. So thank you for being a leader in Team Schmidt Fit and in your community. It seriously, has been so awesome to see. All right, I'm gonna unmute you. Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and sign off here. Thank you again, Audra. Have a great day. Thank you guys for watching.